And I was pretty sure that this didn't mean this, so I thought we were good. Want to welcome folks who are watching at home. Hopefully we're flipped the right way today, but last week, not quite sure why we did, but we were like this, and I fixed it. But even like this, 125 people watched it, and like this, another 700 people watched it. So thank you all for that. You can go to our website for prayer requests, for giving, and you'll hear later, you can now go to the website to look at the ministry opportunities for next year, but we're glad that you can join us electronically. So, my question to you is cooking. Is it an art or a science? And the answer is yes. It is both. Cooking is literally science, for sure, because you're taking individual ingredients and you are often literally creating a chemical change in something through the application of heat. That's science. Cooking is also science because it's about weights and measures and ratios and percentages. It's about proper levels of input that radically change the outcome. However, if you've cooked much at all, you also know that cooking is very much an art. Because once you kind of know how to cook, once you get the basics of cooking down, then you start adding your own flair. You add your own style, your own taste to original recipes, so that with confidence and repetition, you can leave out this, you can add a pinch more of that, you can adapt the end result to be more like what you know the people that you're cooking it for will like to eat. Well, a few years back, I stole Paula Deen's hot chicken salad recipe. I was gonna cook chicken one night, I was bored with what I had been cooking, and I thought, I need a different chicken recipe. So I just typed in chicken recipe, and that one popped up, and I looked at it and I went, yes, that's easy, and that sounds good, I'll make that. So I made it. Family all liked it. I always asked them, what do you think? And we either vote that it stays in the rotation or it does not, you know, pump it or dump it. And we decided we liked it, so we're going to keep it in the rotation, but we all agreed it was a little dry. So mental note, next time I make it, add a little more mayonnaise than the recipe calls for. Make it a little more moist, a little sweeter. Okay, so the next time I made it, I added more mayonnaise, but I didn't have any almonds that time around, and the recipe called for slivered almonds, so I didn't have any. Plus, I don't think slivered almonds really add much flavor to a recipe. But I had shelled sunflower seeds, and I thought, yeah, why not? So I dumped those in instead of the almonds, added the extra mayonnaise, made it, they liked it better. Mental note. Next time I made it, I didn't have any sunflower seeds, but I had pepitas, which are shelled pumpkin seeds, shelled salted pumpkin seeds. I thought, well, if the sunflower seeds are good, the pepitas should work fine. So I dumped the bag of pepitas in, more mayonnaise, added more Vidalia onion that time around, because my family likes onion, and added some fresh celery, because they like a little crunch in what they eat. Even better. So it's like, okay, I keep making these mental notes. Well, the next time I made it, I thought, you know what? This is a good dish, a little bland to look at, but carrots would really kind of add some color to this. Carrots are healthy. So I shredded a couple carrots into it, the celery, the pepitas, the extra mayonnaise. They loved it, and that's kind of where we're at now. That's the new version of the recipe. Well, the one that's in my head now is so different from the one I started with back out of my iPad from Paula Dean's website. I don't even bother looking it up anymore. It's no longer her recipe, it's my recipe, and it just comes out of my head. And it happens that way because when I cook, I want to give the best I can when I cook for other people, because I want them to enjoy what they're eating. So today we continue our current sermon series. It's called The Five Sacrifices, based on a list that's found in the Old Testament book of Leviticus. Shared last week, Leviticus is a hard book to read. I survived Leviticus is a perfectly good t-shirt to have. This list is sometimes called the five offerings, but I labored. Do I call them sacrifices? Do I call them offerings? Both are challenging words in a church. I decided that offering might be a more challenging word than sacrifice, so I went with sacrifice. The list includes powerful views of how we connect with God, and it's seen as a bridge that leads us Christians to the New Testament and the gift of God's Son that's found in the Gospels. And this list offers a pattern of how we are to approach God. Last week was the first week. We started with the very first sacrifice, the burnt sacrifice. Remember that one. First step toward loving God more perfectly. And today we move into what's called the meal sacrifice. Here's a bit of clarification though. When we hear the word meal, we tend to think of one of those times a day that you eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner. That's not what meal means here in this context. Instead, it means grain, like cornmeal, that kind of meal. It's a grain offering that focuses our life on being more dedicated to generosity and giving. And this particular sacrifice is found in chapter 2 of Leviticus. Hear these words.
When anyone brings a grain offering to the Lord, their offering is to be of the finest flour. They are to pour olive oil on it, put incense on it, and take it to Aaron's sons, the priest. The priest shall take a handful of the flour and oil, together with all the incense, and burn this as a memorial portion on the altar, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord.
Okay, so you might hear this scripture reading, and if you heard last week's, you might be thinking to yourself, self? That one sounds an awful lot like last week. What is this guy trying to pull here? Is this just the same scripture rehash? I get that. But we're going to take a closer look at the reading, because if you take a closer look at the reading, you're going to see some differences. Last week's scripture was about livestock. Obviously, that's a difference. But it was a burnt offering, one that was to be completely consumed by the fire. Not eaten at all, but completely consumed by the fire. This week's scripture is about a meal offering. Again, meal offering, if you will, the meal, the grain. And it focuses on a life dedicated to generosity and to giving. Because notice it's not simply, here's a bag of grain, hope you like it, God. That wasn't what that scripture said. It wasn't at all. It was the finest flour, first fruits, the best you can offer. We talked about that last week. And you're not just offering a bag of flour either. Notice olive oil was added to it. It said that incense, which in this case would be seasoning or spices, were added to it. So you got the finest flour, you're adding finest olive oil, you're adding the finest seasoning to it, and then it's presented to the priests. Well, notice what it said. The priests take a sample of the offering, the mixture. It says a handful. They scoop out a handful of it, and that food offering, that is called a memorial portion, and it is offered to God in the fire of the altar, another food offering that sends a pleasing aroma up to God. So the finest flour mixed with some olive oil and the finest seasoning is presented. They scoop a handful of it out and they throw it into the altar fire to produce this pleasing aroma that rises up to God. So other than the obvious, the grain or the meal versus the livestock, the other difference is in this one, only a portion of the offering is actually sacrificed to God as a memorial, it says. Okay, what happens to the rest of it? You brought a bag of it, only a handful of it was actually memorialized to God. What happens to the rest of it? Did you notice? It's a gift to the priest, it said. Pastor that we used to work with, that we loved dearly, once told us about a tradition called pounding the pastor. And he said that when a new pastor's family would move into the parsonage back in his day, the congregation would pound them. And what that meant was they would bring a pound of something to give the family as they moved in to help them stock their pantry and their kitchen. That's the idea. He added that he never had more lard in the house than right after the pastor got pounded. But whether it's pounding the pastor or it's a meal offering, that concept is built on a foundation of generosity and giving. So you know that when you're giving the meal offering, the meal sacrifice, a portion of it is going to be given directly to God as a memorial. But you also know that the bulk of it is going to be put to good use. It's going to be greatly appreciated by another human being. Generosity and giving. So last week is about completely submitting to God. This week, the offering is about a desire to share and reach out based on that complete surrender to God we talked about last week. And if you look at it from that perspective, suddenly it seems like a very natural progression. I give myself completely to God, and then as an outcropping of that, I become more generous in giving to my fellow human beings. So my question to you guys this morning is, why do you give? And I'm going to repeat that question because I cannot compete with cute girls when they walk in. My question is, why do you give? And that could be a rhetorical question, but today it's not. Why do you give? And what does that word give even mean to you? Let me assure you that in the end, giving is about much more than writing a check or having your bank electronically transfer money every week or every month or however you might choose to do that. When you join the United Methodist Church these days, you pledge to 5 things that you will do in support of your church. You will support her through your prayers, your presence, your gifts, your service, and your witness. Well, that's huge. And everybody who joins a Methodist church these days, if the pastor's doing it right, agrees to that. They stand in front of their church family and they say, yes, I will do that. Prayers, presence, gift, service, witness. All of those. And frankly, then, that means that as important as monetary giving is, and I'm not going to downplay that, it's important. It's really just the tip of a much larger iceberg. So starting today, you have a great opportunity to decide what giving means to you personally. Because as the weird guy on the video said, in your bulletin and on the church website, there's a list of the many and varied ministries that your church carries out. out throughout the course of the year. And it's a long list, frankly. It was nearly impossible to get on a half-sheet insert, which I will apologize right up front is why the font is so tiny. I hope you can read it. But poor Deb, I had to get it on a half sheet, and so I hope you can read it, but that's why, because it's such a list. I've heard people not from I've heard people from this church, I've heard people not from this church look at that list and they're stunned at all the ministries that are available through this congregation. So a version of that list is in your bulletin. A version of that list is available on the church website. Go to the church website, it says what's coming up, and one of them is the interest survey. You click on it and you'll get that exact same list. Whether it's the paper version or the electronic version, there's an opportunity for you to look through it, put your name down, put your contact information down, say, here are my 1, 2, and 3 choices for next year. And the whole goal of the program is to give each one of us a chance to focus on generosity and giving, which is why in addition to both of those ways, today Kathleen and Ruth are helping sponsor an all-church luncheon, and there'll be another one next week. But today, right after the 10:30 service, 11:30, 11:45, pizza boats. As he said, again, you're probably going to go home and heat up a Hot Pocket in your microwave. Stay here and eat lunch with the church family. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to serve it. You don't have to clean it up. It's going to be served family style. I promise you won't be beaten over the head by, how are you going to serve next year? Fill this out, fill it out now. But instead, you'll just be presented with some ideas and some options. But the question is, what are you passionate about? Not what are you willing to do? What can we cajole you or strong-arm you into doing next year? I really am not interested in trying to bully or strong-arm somebody into saying yes so that I'll stop asking, or to cajole somebody to take a position that they don't want. That's not helpful to you or me. I want to know what you're passionate about. Because there are things that you have to do to be a contributing member of society. There are things you have to do to put a roof over your head and food on your table and clothes on your back. But then there are things that you get to do because they excite you and because they challenge you. They enable you to help make a difference in the world, and that's the question. What is it that excites you? What challenges you? What is God calling you to do in 2019? And that may seem like a long way away, but by church planning standards, it's literally right around the corner. So my encouragement to you is take some time, pray over that list, whether it's the one in your hand. It's in your hand so you can take it home. Because one of the legitimate criticisms of the approach we've done the past few years with that list is that it takes so long to read it that half the congregation doesn't even get to see it because it was getting passed around. Very legitimate concern. Well, now it's in your hand. You get to take it home. You can go on the website and read it. You can come to lunch. It's on your placemat, for goodness sake. Take some time to read it and pray about it, and then take the plunge. Don't just check, I do funeral luncheons, because you've done funeral luncheons for 40 years. Praise God you do funeral luncheons. Nothing against that, because this church is awesome at those. But don't just automatically check the things you've always done, the thing or the things you've always done. I usher once a quarter. That's awesome. There's a lot more on that list than ushering and a funeral lunch. There are lots of ways to serve, and I guarantee, no matter what your physical or time limitations are, there's something for everybody on that list. So take some time, pray about it, commit some of your time and talent to what God is calling you to do, and make a difference in the world. And I guarantee if you do that consciously and intentionally, I guarantee two things. One is that there is something for everybody on that list. There's not a human being in this room who can say, I can't do any of those things. Just simply not true. And number two is you will love how you feel when you get to make a difference in somebody else's life. Now, I close with this thought. I mentioned before that growing up, back to cooking for a minute, that both my parents worked. So by the time I was 8 years old, as the baby of the family, my mom initiated the everybody has to cook dinner at least once a week rule. Because she was just overworked and underpaid and tired and needed help. So once a week, I had to cook dinner. As the baby of the family, 8-year-old, I had to pull my weight too. I did not cook anything, but I knew how to read the back of the Bisquick box. And so when my turn came up every week, everybody in the house knew you were going to get Bisquick pancakes. Because I could read the recipe. I can scoop out 2 scoops of Bisquick and add an egg, and I can make pancakes. So every week for months, if it was my night to cook, you were getting pancakes. You also knew that if you complained, you got your turn and their turn next week. So nobody complained. Everybody thought they were great. Okay, now, fast forward to this week. Our boys are out west on their big adventure. Hunter's 18th birthday was yesterday. And at our house, the deal is, on your birthday, you get to pick your birthday dinner. You get to say, this is what I want for dinner on my birthday. Well, we hadn't asked them before they left, because we were so busy trying to help them get out the door, that we asked them partway through the week when they called, hey, Hunter, what do you want for your birthday dinner? He didn't even hesitate. Breakfast. Really? We thought he would pick Olive Garden, or we thought he would pick grilled meat or something. Breakfast. Cool. What specifically? What's the menu beyond breakfast? He said, okay, scrambled eggs, mom's scrambled eggs, bacon, and pancakes, he said. And he said, good old-fashioned Bisquick pancakes, he said. So there I was last night, separated by a span of 49 years, cooking the exact same Bisquick pancakes, offering the meal sacrifice, trying to provide something that was made with love and offered as a reflection of the generous and giving nature of Christ that he instills within us. What are you passionate about? How can you better serve God by more fully serving other people? And what will you choose to focus on in 2019 that will provide that pleasing aroma to God? Would you pray with me? Father God, I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity, and I pray that you would fill us with your Spirit, Lord, as we prepare for offering. As I said a minute ago, offering is about giving, is about so much more than how much money goes to the church. And yes, that's important. Not going to lie even a little bit about that. Monetary giving to the church is important, but it's the tip of an iceberg. So what we are about to do is important to support the budget. It's important to help connect people to you by supporting financially the ministries that we have that are on that list. But it also represents the nature of our spirit, our generosity. So help us be generous and gracious givers. Help us give until it feels good, and use these gifts and find great joy in them. For it is in your name that we pray this day and every day. Amen.